Welcome back. Welcome back. I am reading my memoir around the birth of my daughter entitled Rebirth. If you just stumbled upon this video just now, make sure that you go and start from the beginning because I've been reading chapter by chapter and I put them all in a playlist. So make sure that you go back from the beginning. If you just stumble upon here and you like what I'm reading, please make sure to like and share. And if you want to know when the next chapter drops, be sure to subscribe so that you know when it's happening. So I am now reading chapter 12. It's entitled Torn Placenta. Evelyn held up the placenta, the organ that had housed my baby for 40 weeks, and pointed to a tear, explaining that a significant piece was missing. I nodded, but my mind was elsewhere, focused solely on seeing my baby, the only thing that mattered in that moment. She laid the placenta back on the table and began assembling the pieces like a puzzle. I had no idea what any of it meant, nor why their faces wore such concern. I just sat there, detached, watching the scene unfold. I felt numb, yet fully aware that this was what I was doing after giving birth to my child. Nowhere in all of my readings or preparation had I encountered anything like this. The irony of watching a dissection of the placenta instead of holding my newborn baby wasn't lost on me. Still, I watched, one eyebrow raised in skepticism, the other lowered in reluctant awe. Evelyn's fascination was palatable, and for a moment it held my attention. Did you know the sperm is responsible for creating the placenta and the umbilical cord? She said, glancing up from her reconstructive efforts. In that sense, it's the father's organ supporting the baby in the womb. She beamed, her smile stretching wide as if the information might lift my spirits too. I smiled faintly, acknowledging the effort, and nodded politely, unwilling to diminish her joy. That's a fun fact most people don't know, she said, breaking the silence again, her eyes dropping back to the bloodied tray. Months earlier, or months from now, I might have found her commentary fascinating, but not now, not with my baby still missing, not with my body still numb and my spirit fraying at the seams. Then the door flung open. One of the OBs strode in and went directly to the foot of the bed. No greeting, no eye contact, just gloved hands plunging elbow deep into my open body. I couldn't feel anything, but I saw her arm rotate in a slow semicircle before she withdrew her hand, clutching a thick mass she tossed into the metal tray atop the placenta. Then she did it again and again, 5 times in total. It was during the third that Mallow walked in. My heart leapt, then dropped like a stone. He was alone. Seeing him without her unleashed something wild inside me. My body screamed to rise, to move, to go find her, but I was trapped, numb, pinned to the bed, and powerless. My mind wrestled against the paralysis, frantic. Why was he alone? Where was she? Time crawled, the OB's movements blurred, my mouth opened, but no sound came. My face contorted, trying to force the words out. Where is Rocco? I finally blurted, my voice sharp and commanding, though I felt desperation. With the doctor, he said, gesturing vaguely over his shoulder. There was no urgency or concern in his voice or eyes, just detached annoyance. They sent me back to ask you, he began, but I wasn't listening. My instructions had been clear. I rejected his words. The room spun, his voice fading into a meaningless drone. I didn't want another explanation of protocol. I wanted my daughter back. I stared at him, willing my eyes to convey what my body could not. He stood there motionless, oblivious to the torment tearing me apart. You have to stay with her, I cried, panic lacing my words. My tone was firm, but inside I was pleading, begging, and breaking. Do whatever needs to be done, but stay with her, I said, my voice trembling, trying to mask the unraveling. My eyes locked onto his, attempting to convey the magnitude of the fear I couldn't fully express. Please stay with her. This time the plea came from the depths of my soul. Another piece of me cracked. I wasn't used to being helpless. I was the strong one, the one in control, the survivor, but not now. Now my daughter was somewhere beyond those walls, naked under bright lights, being poked and tested, and I couldn't hold her, couldn't reassure her she was loved, wanted, and protected. My cries, silent and invisible, vanished into the sterile air like a whisper into the abyss. He nodded, exhaled sharply, then rolled his eyes as he turned to open the door. He let the OB pass before disappearing with her around the corner. The door closed behind them, sealing me into my prison cell. I stared at it, unmoving, hoping, praying, and waiting, but no one came. The rest of the room blurred. Everything softened at the edges except that door. That door was sharp, clear, metallic, the border between me and her. I couldn't feel time passing, but I could feel my face locked in the expression it had contorted into when Mauro appeared alone, eyebrows raised, mouth slack with shock. Somewhere to my left, breaking through the soft buzzing of the lights, the soft click of a keyboard echoed. I turned. In the shadows near the wall, Sarah was quietly typing. I hadn't even noticed she'd returned, and despite her presence, I felt completely alone. How long have they been gone? I asked, my voice flat, more an expression of concern than a question. Sarah didn't look up. Only a few minutes. It meant nothing. Minutes didn't exist in this room, only silence, only separation, and what felt like an eternity. Shouldn't they be back by now? I whispered, panic rising again. Didn't the OB say it would only be a few minutes? Sarah looked up now. Yes, but remember, she also said they needed time for the vaccine and to run cultures to rule out infection. Her voice was calm, matter of fact. Her mouth kept moving, but I couldn't hear her anymore. There were too many words, too many explanations, and not enough humanity. Her voice faded, the room spun, the void grew louder. I closed my eyes and inhaled deeply, shoving the panic deep into my gut. When I opened them, Evelyn was back at the tray, rearranging pieces of the torn placenta like a curator restoring a lost artifact. Her voice returning to her lecture on the organ. She looked up and smiled. Would you like to keep it? Some mothers dry it as a keepsake, she said. Others cook and eat it to restore lost nutrients. It was all too strange, another attempt to distract me. No, I said, gently shaking my head, brow still raised. If you don't want it, the hospital will dispose of it, she said, her enthusiasm dimming. I didn't have the capacity to think about the placenta. In a different frame of mind, I might have considered it, or at least found comfort in her attachment to it, but my focus was on the clock. It's ticking now, louder than the lights above. Evelyn must have noticed. She stepped to the right side of the bed and placed a warm hand on my arm. Her tender spirit and energy helped soothe mine. How about we try the bathroom, she said softly. Might be good to empty your bladder, refresh yourself, don't you think? I turned my head towards her, allowing the clock to slip from view, and met her eyes. I nodded. You might not feel your legs yet, she said gently, so let's test them first. I moved my legs over the edge of the bed where she was standing. I pushed up and found I could stand. She steadied me as I shuffled the first few steps to the bathroom. She turned on the light and guided me to the toilet, her grip never wavering. Once I sat, she stepped into the far corner, giving me space. When I was done, I used the sink to pull myself up. As I leaned forward to wash my hands, I caught my reflection and recoiled. A haunted stranger stared back at me, eyes wild, hair tangled. I quickly looked down at my hands again. I laughed out loud, embarrassed, a brief flicker of humor amid the chaos, but the laughter died quickly. A sob rose in its place. I lowered my face into the stream of cold water, trying to catch my breath, trying to hold myself together, but I couldn't. Tears poured from my eyes, down my cheeks, mixing with the water. My hands gripped the basin as I sobbed, loud, broken, and unrelenting. Everything came pouring out, the grief, rage, shame, and powerlessness. My soul felt stripped bare, exposed like the torn placenta on that tray. I didn't recognize the face in the mirror anymore. It looked so young, so fragile, so vulnerable. There was no hint of the facade I had erected to protect it. Then a scene replayed. Rocco screaming on the exam table, her pink naked body flailing under gloved hands. I had been powerless to stop it. It didn't matter that I knew her more intimately than anyone, nor that I possessed the raw animal instinct to protect her, even to death. It didn't matter that I believed I was destined to care for her on this earth. Her survival and her well-being weren't mine to control. I had no authority, no voice. I couldn't protect her. Evelyn appeared beside me, gently tugging my arm. I resisted, clinging to the sink, to the stream of cold water, to the desperation that consumed me. I wasn't ready. I needed more time with the water rushing over my hands and face, washing over my grief. More time to imagine myself slipping into the drained small dark circle, disappearing with it. But she tugged again, more firmly. "Let's go back to the bed," she whispered. The sobbing ceased. My time was up. "Can I just clean my face and brush my hair?" I asked, my voice cracked and hollow. Before she could answer, a baby's cry echoed from the room. My baby. I exhaled. Before I could inhale again, panic seized me. A shadow loomed over my heart. I didn't want her anymore. If I couldn't protect her, if I couldn't fight for her, then I didn't deserve her. I closed my eyes and felt myself slipping, drawn into a dark, silent chasm. "She's back," Evelyn said cheerfully. She tugged again, urging me to return, but I felt myself drifting into the void. I can't, I thought. She's not mine. I'm not strong enough. "Come on," Evelyn coaxed. "Come, greet your new daughter." I broke into sobs. All I wanted was to melt into the soothing comfort of the water. I wasn't her mother anymore. I was just a shell. Whatever I had been had vanished into the void, and I didn't want to go back. I wanted to run, to forget, to start over. So this is the reading of chapter 12 of my memoir, Rebirth. Again, if you want to know when the next chapter drops, please subscribe. And if you like the story, please like and share. And if you have any thoughts or comments, I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear who is listening in and your experience or what you are experiencing as you listen to me reading to this memoir. Thanks again for being here. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you.